Hi, I'm Shelley from Somatic Freedom, and this is probably my favourite go-to back release sequence that I would do if I felt stiffness in my lower lumbar area. So you're going to start on your back with your knees bent, and in this sequence I'm going to use a yoga block, and I'm also going to use a chair or the couch, or you could put your feet on anything that's a little higher and not going to move. So starting lying on your back, and if your back's really sore, you might find that lying with your legs long pulls into your lumbar spine. So you could start with your feet planted and your knees bent, and just notice your imprint, somatically tuning in, sensing from the inside out, and take a few breaths. Just notice as you breathe gently, breathing as slow and as gentle as you can. When you breathe with your diaphragm, does your lower back arch as you breathe in? Or can you let go of your stomach muscles and keep your abdomen really soft? Allow the diaphragm to move freely. And then notice the imprint from your feet to your pelvis, pelvis to your shoulder blades, shoulder blades to your hands, back of the head. You might soften or close your eyes and notice your whole imprint on the floor. Allow yourself to arrive here and now. Take a snapshot of your imprint. And if it's comfortable to have your legs long, take a snapshot of your imprint with your legs long. And then bring your knees into your chest. Just notice how your back feels. You might just hug your knees in initially. And with your legs parallel, how does that feel? So I often get a little stiffness in my very lower lumbar. And so to access that lower lumbar area, if you bend or cross your feet and take your knees wide and rock, knees to armpits, you'll notice that you get right into that lower lumbar. And just notice how it feels. And then we'll release the feet hip width apart and parallel. And so if you just let your feet drop down, that's usually where they'll land. And place your hands on your lower abdomen flat with your little fingers in your hip creases. And as you breathe in, let your belly be soft as you arch your back, rolling your pelvis towards your feet. And just notice how easily does that happen. And then just let your back melt, like ice cream melting on the hot concrete. Just let the back release. And do that again, breathing in, arching, noticing how far up the spine that movement goes. And then let your back melt, like pancake batter spreading in a hot pan. And so we're arching and then releasing to neutral. So this is a somatic release called arch to release. So as you inhale, you'll arch, and then just let your breath flow. You could take several breaths now to just melt your back, slowly releasing. And take your hands up onto your ribs and come up high enough that you could maybe able to put a little bit of pressure down. Take a breath in again and arch and feel how far up the spine that movement goes. Maybe the shoulders press back. And then as you need to release, let your back melt. Just let it spread like butter or ghee spreading in a hot pan. I'm going to take 2 breaths for this sequence. And then breathe in again to a soft belly. And this time as you exhale, you're going to sink your ribs and move down to the floor into your pelvis. And tuck your tail and let your shoulders and your ribs follow the bottom ribs. So your head might even tip back, or you might look up towards your forehead. This is an arch and flatten from Somatic's work. And slowly release the front to come back to your neutral. You want to completely switch off, so often you need to take your arms off your body so you can really let your shoulders release. And let's do that again. Hands on the ribs. As you breathe in, let your back arch. Be mindfully pressing the shoulders back now, feeling that contraction in your back moving further up through the spine. And then take your time to let your back melt the whole breath, or even to let it spread like pancake batter in a hot pan. Releasing to neutral. Take a breath in, preparing to move. And as you exhale, sink in the center. Let your shoulders follow your ribs as you tuck your tail. And maybe your head will tip back, or you'll look to your forehead. And then nice and slowly, we're releasing the front. Letting go of the front of the body like a rope to slowly let your shoulders melt towards the floor, and take your hands off. And after that arch and release, and then an arch and flatten, bring your knees back into your chest. And do whatever you did at the start. So if you found you wanted your feet parallel, which is sort of for the higher lumbar, go back to that. Or if you came with me and did the feet crossed, knees wide, just have a feel. How now? And then release your feet, releasing them to the floor. And so for me today, I need to release the strap muscles of my back. And so we're going to roll over onto your belly. And as you come over onto your belly, place your hands one on top of the other, making a pillow for your forehead, and release your forehead onto your hands. If you can, have yourself so that you're on the tops of your knees and the tops of your feet. And then just gently rock your pelvis. Small movement, fast oscillation. You're just noticing how far up your spine does that movement travel. And then come back to stillness and turn your head to one side. And so as you turn your head to one side, you could leave the hand underneath the cheek, the other hand, or if your neck's comfortable, you'll bring that hand down beside you and just place it in the front of your pelvis, palm up. And that's to make sure that your pelvis stays flat in this sequence. This is a modified back lift on your belly. So you're going to press down with the hand you're looking at and the opposite leg. This is all about connecting the diagonals. And release. And then peel your chest away from the floor. Let your head follow. Make sure your pelvis is pressing into your hand and into the floor. And you're trying to glide your shoulder blade across your back, like you're trying to stick a phone in the back pocket of the opposite side, which you're reaching and lifting. Chin, soft, neck is long, so you look at that thumb, or maybe you need to look at the floor. And then nice and slowly, imagine that you are lowering something very precious. Maybe a sleeping child or grandchild, and you're slowly releasing your back and switch everything off. Remember, if your neck is not comfortable looking to the side, then you can have that hand underneath your forehead. Press down with the arm that's out in the T, and the opposite leg, feel the diagonal on the front of the body, and then release. And then peel away. Come up half as high and twice as slow. The front of the pelvis presses down, there's no pressure in the back. Rather, you'll feel the muscles contract. as that shoulder blade glides towards the opposite back pocket. Let go of what you don't need, and then super, super slow. Let your back lengthen, like you're slowly lowering a grand piano out a window with a rope, and your back muscles are the rope. And completely switch off. And then bring your hands back to center and rock your pelvis, small movement, fast oscillation. Keep going for a little longer. And so with any of these movements that we're doing, you want it to feel comfortable in your lower back. No discomfort, no pain. And then again, we'll have the arm out into a T. You can either look to your thumb if your neck is happy with that. If it's not, remember you look at the floor and rest your forehead onto the back of your hand. If you can look at your thumb, then you place that opposite hand down beside your palm up and tuck it under the front of your pelvis to make sure that you're keeping the pelvis grounded onto the floor. Press down through this arm and the opposite leg and release. Then peel away. Don't need to come very high off the floor. You just need to come up high enough to feel the back muscles contract more than they already are. Glide the shoulder blade towards the opposite back pocket as you reach and lift that leg. Top of the feet, top of the knee faces the floor. And then super, super slow, let the back lengthen like a rope to slowly lower your back down and completely switch off. If you're looking to your thumb, you'll feel like you're squashing your face as you let everything go. So we're pendiculating here in the work of Thomas Hanna. So we press down and contract the front, pressing the hand and the opposite leg, release. Then you peel away from the floor and you're gliding the shoulder blade towards your opposite back pocket as you reach and lift the leg. So you've now tightened your back muscles more than they were, which is the first part of the pandiculation, and then you very slowly lengthen the muscles like a rope, like you're lowering that grand piano out a window, and then let everything switch off. So sometimes on the second side you feel like you need to do one more, so honour that if that's the case for you. You would press down and release. Peel away, gliding the shoulder blade to the opposite back pocket. Come up half as high. Feel the back muscles contract on that diagonal, and then see, could you lengthen them like a rope? Slowly, smoothly. And completely switch off. Then bring your hands back underneath your forehead and rock your pelvis, small movement, fast oscillation. And just notice how far up the spine does that movement go now. And then depending how you're feeling, you could go back into a child pose. Or if that is not right for your knees, hips, or any part of your body, go back onto your back and bring your knees into your chest again, like we started. Those who've come into child, when you're ready, see if you could roll up one vertebrae at a time, rolling your shoulders when you get to the top, and then come over onto your back again. So if you have to walk yourself down your mat like I do, use the deep intrinsic muscles of your back by literally walking on your bum bones. And then if you need to go through your side, if your back leads you to be gentler, please do that. Otherwise, you do one of my favourite moves, which is rolling through your spine. And again, to get into your lower lumbar, if you hold on with your forearms and curl yourself into the tightest little ball, then you're getting more into that lower lumbar. And then when you're ready, come into line, but you need to be close to your chair or your couch or your bed, whatever is fixed, and bring your knees back into your chest. Cross your feet, open your knees wide, and rock. And then we'll place the feet on the chair, and you want to be close enough so that you could have a right angle at your hips and knees, So I'm going to work in just a little bit closer, at least a right angle. So now I've got a little bit more than a right angle. And the reason that is because if I bridge on the floor, I can very easily just pick up my lower lumbar and move the lower lumbar, say 2 or 3 joints as a block. When you put your feet up on the chair, the couch, or something really solid, it's much easier to access those deeper lumbar vertebrae separately. So you take a breath in and let your back arch just a little. As you breathe out, let your back melt like ice cream on the hot concrete. And then pick up your pelvis and peel on up into a bridge. And you can come up as high or as low as right for you. And then slowly roll down. And you're trying to roll down one vertebra at a time. One of the things that can happen, particularly if we overuse our hamstrings and not our glute max, is that we cramp. So if that happens to you, put the block between your legs. That's a little breath in and arch. Let your back just spread, pancake batter in a hot pan. Then tuck your tail as you pick up your pelvis and peel on up. And as you come up, you just let your tailbone lengthen. And then you're slowly rolling down. So with your feet on the chair, really trying to focus the movement, the segmental movement through the lumbar spine. So you don't need to go too high. Arch, release, tuck, pick up and peel up one vertebra at a time. You might come up to the weights on your shoulder blades, no pressure in the neck. And then slow motion, release. Nice, and you might build that up to do 10 or more because it's a value for money. It's one of my faves because it strengthens your glutes, it mobilizes your lumbar spine, and it activates your deepest muscles in your back. So feel free to do more of that if you like. Once you've finished, or once it's enough for you, cross your feet, open your knees, and rock your knees in towards your armpits. Again, this can be gentle or it can be a little more vigorous, depending what you feel you need. And then we need to move away from the chair. So I might be able to just move mine away. Or, again, wiggle your way up your mat or away from your chair, move to the side. And have the block beside you. You're going to take a breath in now and have a little arch in your lower back. Feel the back muscles contract. So this arch and release is from Thomas Hanna's work, where we now release the back by just melting. No tension in the belly at all. Purely melting the back muscles and switching off. Then you'll tuck your tail a little more. Pick up your pelvis. Take your block and place it underneath your pelvis. So flatter to the block. I use a yoga block. You can use a specially designed Sarah Keys block. This comes from Sarah Keys' work. And you place the block so the top of the block is at the top of your pelvis. So to find that, just rest your pelvis down. Put your hands on your pelvis like you're cranky with someone on top of the pelvic rim. Sometimes people call that their hips, but that's the top of your pelvic rim. And then slide your thumbs around the back. And when they meet, that's the top of your sacrum. And you want your block there or below. It should feel comfortable. Sometimes it feels, so it might feel weird, but not uncomfortable. If it's uncomfortable, take it lower. And then once you feel like that's the right spot, you release one leg at a time and let your legs relax. And then option to take your arms up above your head and completely relax. And I stay here for about 6 breaths. And when you're ready to come off, because it's coming on and off the block, that has been shown to help to change the pressure in the disc. So you bring your arms down, bring one foot at a time back to planted knees bent. And before you lift up, release your back by tucking your tail a little more. Then pick up your pelvis and peel up. Take the block out and slowly roll down. And you might even like here to take your arms above your head again and slowly roll down. If there's any tension in your mid-back, feel free to do a snow angel as you come down, or leave your arms where they are. When your pelvis touches down, you bring your knees into your chest, crossing your feet. You can swap them. Doesn't really matter so much for the rocking, but it does change the release through your glutes. So feel free to swap your feet over. And you rock for as long as you need to till there's no pressure in your lower back. And then take your feet higher and squeeze your knees in. And use your lower lumbar and your lower abdominals to bring your knees into your chest. Neck and shoulders really relaxed. And you could stay here and just go between those two. Rocking, reverse abdominals. If it's okay for you to roll through your spine, you could roll through your spine now. And roll through your spine and even come into a forward bend. And just come as deep as is right for your hips and pelvis. And then you roll, cross your feet the other way, and come up and come forward. Or the other option when you come up, if that's too deep for your hips, you could just release your feet and come forward. And then roll. I'm going to do the yoga block again. So release your feet hip width apart and parallel. There's a little arch and a release. Pick up your pelvis and peel up into the bridge. If that was strong enough for you before, keep the block where it is. You can come onto the middle edge of the block, but if you're on the middle edge of the block, it's in the middle of your pelvis. There is no pressure in my lower back at all as I put the pelvis down. If there is, flat edge, top of the block, top of the pelvis, hands on your pelvic rim to find where to go. And then slide one leg at a time to straight. Taking your arms above your head, 6 breaths. Let your belly be really soft if you can. And you bend one knee at a time, plant your feet, bring your arms down. Tuck your tail a little so you can come off the block without any pressure. And then you can keep your arms where they are, you can take them back above your head and slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time. When your pelvis touches down, bring your knees into your chest. You're crossing at the ankles and rock away. You can be really gentle or you can be a little more dynamic. Try and keep your neck and shoulders relaxed initially and then go into reverse abdominals. And here very much you want your neck and shoulders relaxed. And again, you might swap your feet. Keep going with those two. That's the level 1 if you like. Or if you've been doing it for a while, it feels good in your spine to roll. Then roll up, come forward into cobbler. Roll back, cross your feet, and roll again with the feet crossed the other way, and come back into cobbler. And just come forward. Remember, if that's too strong, you can separate your feet and come forward. And then roll. And then release your feet. Release your arms out into a soft T or a V and notice your imprint. And notice now when you breathe, can you let your belly go? Can you breathe with your diaphragm low, slow and less? And does your back arch or can it stay relaxed? And if you started this little sequence with your knees bent, stay here, or even place a bolster underneath your knees. And if you started with your legs long, start with your legs long, or come back to legs long, and just let everything relax and notice your imprint. If you straighten your legs and there's pressure in your lower back, pop your bolster there. If you've still got your block with you, just even put your block under your knees. And notice your imprint. Soften or close the eyes. Notice your imprint from your heels to your pelvis, or your feet to your pelvis. From your pelvis to your shoulder blades. From your shoulder blades to your hands. And soften all of your toes. Your calves, your shins, all of your feet, relaxing from your toes to your knees. And soften your thighs, your right buttock, left buttock, the whole of your lower back, your whole abdomen, the diaphragm, all of the ribs, shoulder blades, the space between your shoulder blades. From your shoulders to your fingertips, relaxing the whole of your arms, back of the neck, front of the neck, sides of the neck, your skull, scalp, skin. Feel your brain soften and sink away from your forehead. Feel the forehead soften. Feel the eyes sink down into the sockets, softening all around the eyes and behind the eyes. Softening your cheeks, your nose, lips, tongue and teeth. Feel, sense and allow your whole body to release. Allow yourself to feel the support from the ground underneath you. You can stay here for longer. Or when you're ready to move, bring your knees into your chest. Hug them in. Notice how your back feels. And you could decide to roll through your spine into sitting or roll over onto one side and pause. Feel the weight of the body grounding you. And then gently make your way into a seated pose. Wherever you feel comfortable, could be sitting like me in Vajrasana, where you sit buttocks to heels, sitting on the chair that you used, or even on your block cross-legged. And just have the palms down, or you could bring your hands to your heart, whatever you feel comfortable with. For it is with great respect and infinite love that we now conclude this practice. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. I honour that place in you where love, light and truth dwell. For when you rest in that place, in you and I dwell in that place in me, we are connected. Namaste. Thank you. I hope that helps your lower back stiffness. Feel free to add any comments and to follow me and subscribe as I put up more and more videos of somatic yoga and physio techniques that I've found over